Okay, well, I want to welcome everybody here to the Central Valley AI Marketing Hub for July 2026. And one thing we talked about last month, for those of you that were there or watched the recording of it, was one thing you wanted to address was talking about the differences of AI search to SEO. In other words, how do you get found on Google, which is SEO, and how do you get mentioned in AI search? And so we're going to talk about the strategies to do that, like what are the similarities and differences of SEO compared to AI search? Um, there was also some of you interested in walking through how to create a custom GPT. So we are going to tackle both of those things today. Um, I know we've talked about the custom GPT before, but there's nothing like a refresher course to ensure that you've got it dialed in. So we're going to start with the custom GPT, and then we'll hop into AI search slash SEO. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right. So with actually, before I ask who's using a custom GPT, if there's one thing in your marketing that you could automate right now with AI, what would it be?
Are you specifically saying like the marketing component, not just like you're just speaking about marketing, right?
Yeah, any aspect of your marketing. What's one thing that, man, if you could automate that one thing, what would it be?
Posting, like either on a daily post, like a campaign on my stories.
Okay. Are you talking that would be Facebook posts?
It could be Facebook, any meta. Um, if I can automate that, so if I can, I don't know if it you can program it, but I like to ask questions and polls to try to get engagement on my pages. So that would be something that I'd like to automate because that does take a lot of time.
Yeah. And are you a financial planner also?
No, I'm an HR consultant.
Okay. Okay, very cool. So automation of social media posts. What about somebody else? Like if there's one thing that you can automate, what would it be for marketing? What about like design or ad
I know,
management?
I know for me, I would love to automate some of the content and like how things are said and um, calls to action and make sure those are actually things that resonate with people and also are true and factual.
Hmm. Okay. And what industry are you in, Sandra?
I am in management consulting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and particularly for staff performance, performance management, process improvement, that side of a
Right.
business. Yeah.
So establishing KPIs, getting everybody's
Yep.
buy-in that these are important.
Yes. And then maintaining and actually making sure changes and suggested improvements happen on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, whatever the cadence is.
Okay.
And then I think I found one for myself that's not so specific, but I'm in the middle of open enrollment, so I would love to automate my open enrollment campaigns for the multiple school districts that I have because they
Hmm.
each have their own timeline, so that would be super sweet.
Oh wow, yeah, that's annoying. So in other words, depending on the group, it's a different open enrollment date, basically based on when they started with you, most likely, and
Yeah.
it's just a
So I
year.
literally printed out every school district's calendar and I'm trying to I had ChatGPT give me like when they all start, when there's teacher staff days, but now it's like how do I automate so that each one of them goes out in a timely manner so
Hmm.
it's not like super generic.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. And I think all of us here have been using AI, whether it's every day or every other day or quite a bit for probably the last, what, year, 2 years or so. And over time, we've all gotten better at prompting, like what works and what doesn't. But, you know, the most seasoned user of any LLM, whether it's GPT, ChatGPT, or Claude, or Grok, or whatever, you still get kind of random or general or even just flat out wrong answers, even with sometimes even with great prompts. And where a lot of people have not taken the time is customizing the knowledge base of the LLM that you're using. And every LLM is a little different. Does anybody here use Copilot, for example?
That's Google, right?
That's
Or Outlook.
Microsoft.
Okay, no, I don't use it. I have not figured out how to use it.
Okay, and that's totally okay if you haven't. They're not exactly a leading LLM, I would say. I think more people use Copilot because they have the Microsoft Business Suite, and some larger companies almost are the only way they're okay with you using AI as long as it's Copilot because it's within their environment. Um, That'd be great to know what you guys are using right now the most. I would imagine GPT is one. Anybody here using Claude or Grok?
I'm learning how to use Claude. I'm still navigating through the different buttons. I got used to ChatGPT, but now I'm learning Claude.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on Claude as well.
Yeah, Claude really seems to have come on here, or Anthropic, in the last, what, 8 months or so. Um, they've really they've really taken the market by storm. The latest data I've seen is that ChatGPT has approximately 70% market share, but that was also from about 3 months ago. So who knows? Who knows where it is now? Um, but all that said, they all have a similar approach in that you can keep using prompts like your general prompting within any AI you're using. And when you ask questions, it could draw on prompting that you've given it in the past, especially if it's the same chain of prompts. If you've attached any
Mhm.
PDFs or anything to give it insight into if you're prompting it for your company. Um, or it could, of course, just use the internet to grab information. And that's usually what AI does out of the box. But what I want to talk about today is creating a custom GPT with the goal of giving you more specific, better thought out responses to your prompts. And what I mean is, ChatGPT specifically allows you to create a knowledge base and create your own custom GPT so that it's going to look at whatever documents that you put in there when formulating answers to your questions moving forward. So, in a perfect world, what that means is that you are able to get better answers from ChatGPT in this case than simply just going to ChatGPT and asking it questions and having it search a lot of random things, and then you having to refine what it gives you over time to finally get a great answer. So this is what I wanted to tackle first is how to create a custom GPT. Every AI is going to have a bit different of an interface, but because GPT is still the most common, we'll use that for today. So of those of you that have ChatGPT, do you have the paid version of GPT or the free version?
Paid.
Paid? Okay. Awesome. That is the correct answer because now you can follow with me. You're paying a whopping 20 bucks. So 20 bucks a month. So now you can follow along. So if you are on the paid version of GPT, then you're going to be able to follow with me. Okay. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what is a GPT? Let's just take a quick look. So you click right here, GPTs, and there's a lot of different kinds. And so, for instance, people will create like an image generator. If I click on this, it's very good at creating images, better than simply going to GPT because there's a ton of guide rails about how to generate quality images. And so, like this is a fitness coach. So, while yes, you could just go to ChatGPT and say, please be my dietitian. Um, it doesn't have the kinds of guide rails and the kinds of data that this person did, this Nugent PhD that created this and made it available to the public. So all of these are GPTs that you can use that have already been created that are public. So with that understanding, the idea is you could actually create one of these for yourself. And so what you do is you go up here to create. And I want to make sure that I'm not outpacing people. So I assume people that have the paid tier GPT, do you guys have this open? Are you following along with me?
I'm looking on my phone. Do I have to be on my desktop to see that? Because I was looking on my phone.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna
Let me
probably,
answer you quickly by going on my phone here and making sure.
okay.
I always am on my desktop with this, so for custom stuff.
Mm,
It appears so.
I don't
I
see
can
it.
I can access codecs, but I cannot. Yeah, so when I like, can you guys see this? So that's the menu. And do you see how GPT is missing
Uh-huh.
from the menu versus the screen I'm sharing? It's right here. So without doing an exhaustive search, it appears this is only available on the desktop version,
okay.
but don't quote me on that.
And no, I think you're right because I just tried it right now and I clicked the more options. So the desktop gives you the full menu versus the a cell phone.
Yes.
Okay.
And all of this being said, in 3 weeks from now, it's all probably going to be different. So
Okay.
that's as fast as this evolves. So, all right. Well, let's just take a quick look here. And I'm also, after I show this to you, I'm going to show you a GPT that we've created and to kind of give you a specific anatomy of it. But okay, so when you hit create, this is what your screen will look like. And what's cool is, so you get two options to create this GPT. If you've never done this before, which many people haven't, if you hit this create button, ChatGPT just boils it down to a basic prompt like, hey, I want to create a GPT so I can, you know, um, figure out how to communicate to my potential customers when they reach out to me and they don't convert immediately. I want to create um, a communication channel for or something, whatever you want to do, but you're talking in real language here. So this is really great if you don't have a lot of technical background with this. ChatGPT's got your back with a prompt. But getting a little more technical with configure, this is where you could name the GPT and then you could add a description about what you want your GPT to do for you. And what's cool about this is, let's say there's 5 or 6 things within marketing that you want it to do for you. The best thing is to, especially if they're not related, like one, you want to audit digital ads. Another one, you want it to help you to be like a calendar assistant. And yes, they're related because they both work for your business, but you could create separate GPTs for all of these separate things. Um, Anyway, so you're going to have the description here and then instructions. It wants you to list out, hey, what do I have to do to put a smile on your face as a GPT that you would keep using me? Um, and again, all of this might sound like it makes sense.
Hey Dave, really quickly, what's the
Yeah.
difference between doing the custom ChatGPT versus having a project?
Versus having a project.
Yeah.
We do all of our work in custom GPTs, mainly because we put a lot of like for our clients, we will put a ton of ongoing like brand guidelines, current past campaigns. Like the custom GPT is more robust. Are you seeing success by using projects?
I'm just talking about like my personal life, not my business one component right now, because
Okay.
but I do use it for, I have two paid chat GPTs. One of them is corporate, which is very limited. They limited, but I'm wondering like, what's the big difference between both of them? Does it not, if I were to create a custom chat GPT, will it not pull from my other my other messages that I put on there, my other chats? Is it like in its own little silo that I would just pull information from that GPT and it doesn't overlap with the information my other ones?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. You know, and to be honest, we don't use projects. We focus more on custom GPTs and building them out and getting very in depth with them. And a quick search I did on that, it says ChatGPT project is a private, organized workspace that stores specific files, instructions, multiple chat histories for one ongoing task. A custom GPT, on the other hand, is focused, specialized, mini bot built to do one specific job. So we've had a ton of success with the custom GPT route, but I'm not sure if you have a project how that relates to also building a specific custom GPT. I know a custom GPT is more robust. Has anybody done both, building both a custom GPT and a project?
So I have just a quick question. I've only used projects to keep myself organized,
Yeah.
and to go back and look at the searches, for specific projects that I have. But so what I'm understanding with GBT is it like is it almost like an assistant that can help you? Am I understanding that correctly? So you don't have to re go back and reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. I tell you what, we'll double back to your question, Juliana, but yes, to answer your question, what you're going to do is lay out what you want this GPT to do. And so it's funny, as you're filling this out, I often open up another GPT and say, you know, I'm creating a custom GPT for, why don't you guys give me an example of what I would create a custom GPT for? Maybe it could be for your business, but what would you need one for potentially?
Marketing.
Automatic automatic responses maybe on social media?
Okay. All right. And what was your industry?
HR consulting?
Okay. Okay. Give me instructions for the GPT. So here's the thing, like you're gonna feel like oh, I don't really know exactly what to say here. And even after you cut and paste these in, over time, you can make these more specific after you've been using it. But let's just take a quick look. So you're an expert social media response. And again, keep in mind, we're generating it to go here. This is your custom GPT that we're creating, and it's asking for instructions. What does this GPT do? How does it behave? What should it avoid doing? So you're an expert social media response assistant for an HR consulting company. Help create professional, friendly, brand safe replies, DMs, reviews, blah, blah, blah. Tone. And again, it's taking a guess. Professional, warm, like this is where you could customize it. Primary goals: acknowledge a person's comment or question, provide a clear and helpful response, avoid giving legal, financial advice, keep most replies short. So you could see like it's got some cool things, and you could go through all of this. For every request, ask or infer, the platform, original comment, desired tone, output format. And then for sensitive HR topics, also include, note, this topic may require legal or compliance review. And then it gives you an example of what it would say. So what you could do is take this, and then we'd go into instructions and we'd pop it in. Where GPT, the custom GPT, is going to differ from projects, and this is a big reason why we love these, is right here, knowledge. So this is your knowledge base. So when you click upload files, this box pops up, which I assume you guys probably can't see. I'm sharing my screen, but this is on top of my share. But basically, it pulls up your computer files where you can drop in PDFs or CSVs. And this is what is awesome. So for example, like we have clients that they do a lot of video. And so what we do is we'll get transcriptions of their video, and we will upload all those transcriptions into one document, and then we'll upload that so that GPT can understand the brand tone of how somebody actually talks. That's a big one. Another thing we do is, like for Google Ads, for those of you running digital ad campaigns, you can download your Google Ads data as a CSV and then upload it to your knowledge base to say, here's what we've been doing with our Google Ads campaign. And it could do a full-on audit of your campaign, or it could also suggest areas of opportunities that you could go after. And even like when you're creating copy for blog posts or for social media, it could tell you these are the ads that have been successful. So you might want to lean on these 2 or 3 ideas because from an ads perspective, they've been working well. So why don't you create more content around that? So it's really, really cool. And it allows you to upload, I believe it's now up to 20 documents that you can upload. Any questions so far on creating the description and then these instructions and then adding files for your knowledge base? And I'd love to hear from anybody on the call that has already done this and you've got some experience with it. I'd love to hear what's working and not working for you.
I just had a question on the upload files. Do you upload pictures or videos that you've already created? Like if you have videos that are maybe a minute long or 30 seconds long, you upload all those files in that area, and it just kind of scans and does an analysis on all of that?
That's a great question. The answer is no. So the knowledge base does not do well with imagery or video. So for instance, we ran into this a while back when we tried to upload one of our clients' brand guidelines. And they had a brand guidelines that was designed for them by an agency. So it was very visual. and here's how to use the logo and all this kind of stuff. But GPT was having a hard time, even though there was copy, it was having a hard time scanning it. So we converted it to just words. So instead of saying, this is our blue with the actual swatch of blue, it was the RBG color, whatever the color code was for blue. That was what we replaced it with. So it does great with actual words and copy, not so great with imagery.
So what kind of files would be best to upload under knowledge? Like PDF stuff?
Yeah, and again, like the brand guidelines I just described, what it was a PDF. It's just that there was a lot of imagery. So if on your PDF, if it's more of a just copy, it's going to scan that much better, and it's going to add that easier. So yes, when it comes to like brand guidelines, or when I gave the example of a video, not uploading the video itself, but you could get the video's transcription, which is copy, and put that into a document. And because there's a limit on how many documents you can upload, you can put 100 transcriptions in one PDF document and just upload that, and all of it is copy. And so it's going to eat that up because you're showing what your brand tone is, assuming that whoever is speaking on behalf of your company.
All that information is kind of analyzed to, I guess I'm understanding is connecting the knowledge, uploading, and then this where you put instructions, it's gonna communicate, and like I guess I'm kind of lost there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So the difference is um, the difference is if you simply say like respond to this social media post that I got on LinkedIn, they said this, what should I say? That's a typical prompt that you would put right here in ChatGPT. So the question is, what is ChatGPT going to reference to give you its answer? It's going to reference what other people have done in the past. If you've used GPT at all, maybe like prior prompts and responses. But is it going to reference, let's pretend that you have brand guidelines. Is it going to reference your brand guidelines? Is it going to reference your brand tone? Of course not, because you haven't given it any of that information. So the way to do that is to set the custom GPT up, to set up the instructions like we went through, and then to upload relevant knowledge base documents that will help GPT to better answer questions, to better know your company. You could even have it do an analysis of your top 5 competitors and to upload those here. And how do you help me to stand out above these 4 competitors? Like make sure that's part of your answers for me moving forward, things like that. So it's just a way to customize what ChatGPT is telling you. And what that does is it saves time, really, because most of us have gotten to a point where we're pretty good at using GPT or Claude with prompting, but you start to spend time because it gives you a good response, but it's not great. And you have to spend time to make it more specific and things like that. So what this does is it cuts a lot of that out because it's going to give you answers that are much more specific to what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else have any experience creating a custom GPT that they've had success with?
So I played around with it a few months ago. Honestly, it might have been a year ago at this point. And I was asking it to develop some research on companies that we wanted to consult with. And so I gave it some instructions of, we want to look at their background, we want to look at their financial projections, we want to look at maybe some pain points that they might be experiencing, what's going on in their industry. But what I would do was have, like, I would say, I want to do this company, and it would pull us all the information. And then what I had to do is copy the information from that into a PowerPoint deck
Mhm.
that was already templated out. Is ChatGPT at the point where they can automatically move things into PowerPoint? Because I know with Claude, it kind of does that already, but I don't know, is ChatGPT there? But I really liked how, even with my information that I was asking it to pull, I was like, can you also give me the links so that it doesn't just look like I'm saying random stuff, but it was pulling the links too, and it did a really great job with that. So I liked that
Yeah.
over some of the stuff Claude gives me.
You know, is it there? I would say that it is in the vicinity of there. Um, I have not been as impressed with ChatGPT creating images. We have more experience or success. Like, have you guys used Perplexity before? I'm sharing my screen for Perplexity. Um, this is a awesome. This is an awesome. It's almost an AI operating system, kind of, because what Perplexity does is it uses all of the popular models. So if you go to Perplexity and ask it to create an image, it might use Google's Nano Banana or Claude. If you're asking to do a ton of deep research, it could use ChatGPT's research mode, but it's all based here. The catch with Perplexity, this is Perplexity Computer. So the catch with this is that it's $200 a month. So it definitely costs a little bit more, but we get a ton of value from that. So I know that we have this other side of what we're going to talk about as far as AI search versus SEO. So I'll keep moving here. Let's pretend that you uploaded a handful of files to this to get this off the ground. The last part here is what you want it to do. By having web search checked, what you're saying is when you're formulating answers to my prompts, you can also search the web. And that's a big deal. You want to make sure this is checked 9 times out of 10. The 10th time that you wouldn't check it is if you gave it so much information, you're basically giving it guidelines saying, just look at the information I gave you. And in our experience, even when you don't have web search checked, it can still look in outside sources because ChatGPT, for whatever reason, never says, I don't know. And that's a bit of a limitation, quite honestly. Um, in other words, it would rather make something up than say, I don't know. So that's a bit of an issue. Um, another big thing like Canvas and image generation are pre-checked. Those have to do with creating images. Most custom GPTs, it doesn't hold them back if you have these checked, whether you actually use it to create image generation or not. So usually we leave those checked because who knows? I'm not ultra impressed with GPT's image generation capabilities as of now, but again, check back in 2 months. They could all of a sudden become the leader of that. The big one that's not checked here is code interpreter data analysis. So this is one that you usually want to check, and that's because if you're running a digital ads campaign or if you have some kind of data related to transactions and you want it to do any kind of analysis, you could literally get a CSV of your data and drop it into your custom GPT, and it could do a full-on in-depth analysis of that data, which it's pretty impressive. That is something GPT does very well. So that's something that I would definitely check. Now, as you build it on the right here, it starts to just materialize. Like, in other words, it kind of gives you a visual of what your new GPT is looking like. And so, for example, I can show you this one we created for the hub. And And if I hit edit, so now you can kind of see, we threw this image in here. We have instructions. We put some knowledge-based documents as you guys can see them here. We put some agendas in there. And then this is what it looks like in the wild, like anybody that has access to it, how they can use it like this. But this is really the benefit of having a custom GPT, is that it allows you to save time and at the same time have better, more in-depth responses from GPT. So it's really where the industry is pushing people, whether you know it or not, is this level of customization. Does anybody have any questions on that before we transition over to SEO versus AI search?
I have kind of a random quick question. Do you think that there's going to be a day where those customized GPTs are monetized, where, it costs $1 to use it every month or whatever? Because I've received some from some of my colleagues where they've created GPTs, and I'm like, you're giving me your whole playbook of how you do your system.
Yeah.
This should cost money. So
It
I'm just
should. I
curious if
mean,
you know.
well, so one way to monetize it is what we're doing right now. Like if I was charging, you know, 500 a month for everybody to be a member of this, and part of what you get is, and we actually toyed with that idea for a minute. But you're right. Where the proverbial crap's going to hit the fan is all of AI. All of AI is subsidized. Like if how we're, those of you paying $20 a month for ChatGPT, the true cost would be more than 10x that, depending on the amount of credits that you're using for AI queries. It's one of the reasons why we're paying $200 a month for Perplexity Computer, which actually should even be more. And so what we're going to start to see is people being charged to use AI. And it's not going to be, prohibitive, but it's going to start costing money. So I wouldn't be surprised at that. If you're a light user of AI, I'm sure that there'll probably always be some facet of it that's completely free. But for anybody that's really using AI a ton, the days of paying what it costs for one Starbucks drink might be well past us here within about a year. So it will start costing something.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's transition to SEO versus AI search. So does everybody know what SEO is? Search engine optimization. Do you understand what the idea of SEO is? Simply put, there are 10 organic spots on page 1 of Google. And if you're not there, you probably don't exist. So for example, if somebody searches best financial planner and Juliana is not on page 1 of Google within, let's say, Fresno, they don't know that Juliana exists. And so SEO is a practice. It's hundreds, if not thousands, of various tactics to convey to Google that you are more relevant than your competition and you should be on page 1, because how many people go past page 1 when they're looking for something? So SEO has existed for 20 years and it is tried and true, and the tactics are alive and well. In the last 3 years, there's been something brand new that has literally produced a seismic shift in search, and that's AI search. Because how many of you used to go to Google to look for something, But now you find yourself just opening up AI, asking the question, and then going with what AI gives you as an answer. And you all know that when you put in a prompt to AI, it is looking at search engines like Google, like Bing. So SEO tactics to get you to rank high within Google, that also will have a positive effect on AI search. And what does ChatGPT recommend? But they definitely are not one for one. In other words, if you're ranking on page one of Google, that means that ChatGPT or Claude is going to recommend you exactly the same. That's not the case. So there's similarities and there's differences, but the goal is I want to make sure when my potential customers are using Google or using AI search, how do I make sure that I'm recommended? And so that's the whole goal between SEO and AI search. Before I hop into it, is anybody here doing anything in regards to SEO or AI search? Does anybody have any tactics that they're currently experimenting with to rank?
No, but I will tell you, I purchased my daughter's car only by the suggestion of ChatGPT. And so where I ended up going, I said, "Hey, what did you do to rank number one on ChatGPT?" And the manager came over and talked to me, and he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I only came to you because I gave him my parameters, and it said that you were the best deal for what I was looking for, and I drove, from Madera to Modesto. What did you do to rank on the top of, And I said, I want to do that." And he's just like, he just said the same thing that you said. He was just very consistent on his SEO tactics, and that he always gets people to leave a review. Outside of that, that's the only marketing that they're doing.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge. And what we're seeing is what we're seeing is, let me refresh this. I just did that search. You guys can see it. So even with Google, the traditional links are in blue, but as it says, best car for teenager. And when you scroll just a little bit, like these are ads, but under that is the AI overview. So did you get her a Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, or Mazda 3?
No. But I gave it a very specific prompt.
Okay.
I
Okay.
said, my daughter's going off to college. I need a brand new car that will keep her for the next 4 years. I'm not, I gave it all of that. And I said, and I want it within these amount of miles within my home. Give me the top dealership
Yeah.
with the best ratings. And then it just gave me like top three.
Okay. And so basically, this is the AI overview. And if you click it, it's then giving you like, here's how I got this information. And it is showing where it got this information from. And so and it's interesting. What is this? Coons Honda of Sycamore. I mean, that's pretty random, and it shows them here as well. So this has been a big push, is getting cited by AI when it says, who are the top financial planners? What is the best HR consulting company in California? These are places that you guys would want to rank if that's your industry. And so this is what the AI overview looks. But then under that, these are the traditional ranks. But it shows you like, look how far down these ranks are. This used to be at the very top of Google, and now look where it is. So what's happening is in a very short period of time, Google is going all in with AI. It doesn't mean that their traditional search is going to disappear or anything, but they're just going to lean more into AI because all AI is, it's almost like a great assistant searching like you typically search on Google, but it puts together very concrete answers versus you having to do that yourself.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I always thought that people paid to be on Google, to be on the first pages.
Mhm.
Is Is that still true? And then are they incorporating paid and AI results? Are they incorporating like mixing both, or do people pay to be the first to advertise company at the top?
Yeah, so there is a paid component to appear on Google, and there is a organic component. And the paid component is what you see here, sponsored results. So yes, ads, you could pay to be at the top of Google. And honestly, if you do an ad, it doesn't mean you're going to be in this top spot. You have to optimize the ton out of your ads to be able to rank this high. And usually there's ads at the bottom as well. Let's see if there is. No, for this particular search, it's just at the top. So yes, you can pay, and these are pay-per-click ads. So if I were to click this ad, it would cost them money. But about 70% of any search traffic bypasses ads and goes to the organic results. And that's traditionally what they do. In other words, organic listings, which you cannot pay Google for, those are more trusted. So, and it's nice to know that if you're an HR consulting company and you say, Google, I don't care what it costs. I'm a gazillionaire. I'll pay $1 million a year for you to put me at the top organically. Google would say your money is not good here. The only way to spend is on these ads. When it comes to the actual, like whatever appears in AI overview, and then of course the actual links themselves, you cannot pay for this. This is their algorithm that looks at 14,000 ranking factors, and based on the intent of your search, based on the website you've been on, based on a ton of factors, 14,000, they give you a list of this is what's ranking on page one, the top 10. So that's basically what it is. And this is still alive and well. Like Google Ads are still working fine. It's just what we're seeing in a very short period of time is AI search has taken approximately 30% of the market share of search. And that is ridiculous. I mean, Google was the king, the king, the king. I mean, who uses Bing? Do you know anybody? I mean, some people may use Bing, but I think the majority of people that use Bing think they're probably using Google. In other words, Google had the lion's share, close to 90% of the search volume. And now, within about 3 years, approximately 30, depending on the source that you believe, about 30% of that traffic has pushed to AI, which is dramatic. And so what that means is, okay, well, what do I have to do? And so when it comes to AI, these never go like the agenda that I lay out. So we only have 7 minutes left. You want to focus on helpful content. And so some of you are familiar with writing blog posts. And an SEO tactic has always, like, let's say for HR consulting, the word HR consultant is probably a keyword you want to optimize for. Outsourced HR. Maybe there's 7 or 8 other keywords that you specifically would like to rank for. So one of the SEO tactics has always been write blog posts that have those keywords in them because Google loves fresh keywords. Your website has HR consultant in it, your services, things like that, but maybe you wrote that copy 2, 3 years ago when you launched your website. But since then, how are you conveying your expertise? So by you having blog posts talking about various aspects of HR consulting, you're conveying to Google your expertise, the keywords, things like that. And that 9 times out of 10 results in you ranking higher on Google. Concurrently, it also will help you to get cited with AI, where AI can actually cite various blog posts that you've written, depending on what the search is. So writing copy content to be helpful is a huge, huge thing. And another is authority. So getting backlinks is another big one. So I'm going to try to focus on a couple takeaways here that you guys can put into place. So is anybody here a member of the local Chamber of Commerce of Fresno or Clovis Chamber? You think okay. So the way that you could get a backlink, a relevant backlink, is they within their website probably list your company as a member of the chamber, and usually they'll have the name of your company, but it's hyperlinked. And if you click on it, it goes to your website. Even though it's the chamber's website, it links to your website. That is a backlink. And it's a quality backlink because Google will be like, okay, I see a backlink from the chamber. The chamber's a trusted entity in your city. It's linking back to your company. That is a quality backlink. Or again, let's say if you're a financial planner, you probably belong to a handful of national organizations on financial planning. And if you're registered, they also have a link from their national website to your local website. That's a very quality backlink. And you'd think, well, gosh, that seems so pedantic. How does Google actually track that? Well, Google's algorithm is the best search algorithm in the world. And they've had the smartest people for the last 25 years working on this. But this is a big ranking factor, are backlinks. And it's kind of like other larger websites vouching for yours within your industry. And that's a huge ranking factor with both SEO and, as we are inferring, with AI search. So does that make sense?
Dave, I was just going to say, so that's the reason why it's so important to have that consistent message going out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle of rebranding. And one of my things is I want the consistent message as to what I actually do, because I don't think a lot of people actually know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my Instagram, my LinkedIn, and my Facebook are attracting different people, which means that my message isn't consistent across all three boards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, and the last thing I'll leave you with here, because I know we don't have a lot of time, is so we all got conditioned growing up using Google that you less words is more. So let's say you're looking for you need your air conditioner fixed because it's making a weird noise and water's coming out of it. So what would you search in Google? Probably AC repair, right?
Mhm.
And so copy written for SEO, you would make sure the word AC repair is a keyword that's in a lot of your copy. Where AI differs is, as we all know, instead of AC repair, that wouldn't be your prompt in AI. It would literally be, my air conditioner was running, but now all of a sudden it stopped and it's making a weird noise and water's coming out of the bottom part of it. In other words, you're giving it a ton of information because you've learned in the last couple of years, AI gives you more specific, better answers the more information you give it. Therefore, copy that you write that you want to be cited on AI is not just AC repair, if that was your business, but it would be more like getting into the conversational tone of what happens when my AC is leaking water in this particular area. What do I do? And all of that kind of stuff. And so AI is looking for more conversational tone copy. SEO is looking primarily more keyword copy. And so in a sense, there's a bit of a convergence of both of those. And so that's kind of the cutting edge of content creation for both that we're currently focused on for a lot of our clients. But anyway, so that's custom GPT, and that's the difference in some examples of AI search versus SEO. So big focus. We've had some people that have emailed us lately wanting us to kind of circle back on websites and what does a high producing website look like, or landing page. So with a minute left, or actually we're at time, how does that sound for next month, is diving into web design as far as what converts and what doesn't. We got a big thumbs up from Aaron. All right, sounds good. All right, guys. Well, all right, thumbs up all around. See the real thumbs up. Awesome. Well, very good to see everybody. And we'll go ahead and take this recording and email it to everybody probably tomorrow, just to make sure you're all on the same page here. But as always, so awesome to see everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
All right. Bye-bye.